Hello. In this short video, I'm going to show you a very simple but interesting example of Windows Form applications. In this example, I will create a program that allows you to create multiple timers, each one with different intervals. And after each timer reaches to its interval, like every 10 seconds, it's going to generate a new notification, and it's going to notify the user of the timer has reached that certain interval. And while I'm doing this example, I'll make you familiar with the way to use timer in a Windows Form application and the way to use notifications in Windows Form applications. And also I'll show you how to create a custom dialog in WinForm applications, and also how to use a standard dialog like selecting a color using color dialog. So let's get into the details of this. I have created multiple forms here. If you don't know how to do it, all you need to do is, after you create a new WinForm application with C# as the programming language, you can right-click on your project, and let's say I'm going to add a new form. You can select new item, and then here you can say, let's click on a form, and you can either give it a name, or you can just leave it as it is. I don't want to add because I already have 3 forms here, but if I click on add, another form will show up in the Solution Explorer. Right now, if you look at my Solution Explorer, I have form 1.cs, form 2.cs, and form 3.cs. And that's pretty much good enough for this simple example. In form 1, which is the main form, and this form is going to be closed when the program is closed, and it's going to get open when the program is open, or when the program starts. This form, which is the main form, has multiple control objects on it. Basically, all I have is a color dialog, which I can, drag it from the toolbox this way by selecting one of these and drag it and drop it on my form. And also I have, multiple buttons. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. Each button has its own text. I call this new custom timer. I call this new 10-second timer, stop all timers, and choose background color. It's kind of obvious what each one is going to do. This one, which is the main one, is going to basically generate a new 10-second timer. 10-second timer means a timer that starts counting the time and counting the seconds and keeping track of the time. Whenever the timer reaches to 10 seconds, it's going to make a notification or generate a notification and notifies the user. After it reaches to the 20-second, it's going to generate another notification. After 30 seconds, another notification. After 40 seconds, another notification. So every 10 seconds, it's going to generate a new notification. Let's see how this can be done, and then I'm going to talk about other buttons, and then we're going to go from there. Let's click on this button event handler, which is called button 1_click. And as you see here, I have created a new form 2. And then I said f.show. Show is kind of similar to show dialog. Show and show dialog are ways to represent or display a form. The difference is show is going to show the form in a modeless fashion. That means you can preempt the attention of CPU from that form and get to the other forms in your application. But show dialog is going to show the form in a modal fashion, which means you're not allowed to interact with any other form while that form is open and shown in a modal fashion. But this is going to open it in a modeless fashion because I'm going to basically show multiple timers. I'm going to be able to show multiple timers and basically have multiple timers up and running for me. You may say, what is form 2? Form 2 is a new form that I created. And then after I created it, I have changed the text to 10-second timer and also added a simple text box, which is the display for the amount of time that is elapsed since I have created this. And I have a timer called timer 1 and a notify icon 1. This is not going to be used here, but I just added here. You can add like a context menu strip that shows up on the top and basically allow the timer to be shown or stopped or paused or played while it's open. But I'm not going to make this more complex. If you click on timer here in this form, you will see that it's a timer that its interval is set to 100, which means every 100 millisecond, this timer is going to generate a tick event. The tick event is the only event that the timer has, and you can handle this event using a method like, in this case, timer 1 tick. And as you see in this event handler, what I have is I have basically parsed the text displayed on the clock display. What is clock display? Clock display is the name of this display. If you go to the properties, you will see its name is set to clock display. So it's a simple text box that displays the current text, current time. They start from 0.0, and then it can just increase its value as timer ticks. So after every tick, which is after every 100 millisecond, we are going to update the text that is shown here on this timer. So on this, display clock display text box. So what I need to do is I need to parse the current text that is shown on the current the clock display. That's going to be a number like 1.2 or 3.2. I have seconds and I have tenth of a second. I don't have anything else. So it's a double value with only 1 digit of precision. When you get that value multiplied by 10 to basically convert that this like double with a single digit of precision to a whole integer. And then I'm going to add it by 1. This way, I'm going to add tenth of a second to my current value, and then I divide it by 10, so that I go back to the same double format. You can do it in a different fashion. You can do it in a little bit nicer fashion, but I decided to do it this way. And then I have said after the current is incremented and you have the updated time, you're going to convert it to a string like fixed. And basically, if the string is not containing a dot, add a dot 0 at the end. The reason is I want my display to always show the fraction, even if the fraction is 0, that's going to look nicer. And I have basically made sure that there will be a total of 3 leading zeros. Or a total of 3 digits before the decimal point. If it's less than 3, I added some leading zeros. You can obviously do all of these using a very simple string parser or string builder class, but I just did it this way to format it manually instead of doing it in a more fancy way. And finally, I have set clock display.text is equal to fixed. Because that fixed is going to be like a fixed string with the perfect format that I'm looking for, which means 3 digits before the dot, 1 digit after the dot. And I have set my clock display text equal to fixed. And then finally, I have said if the current time is equal to the interval that we care about. Interval by default is set to 10 seconds. Let me show you the interval. It's an internal integer that I have defined for this form. I just placed it here, and in the constructor, I have set it equal to 10. So I was saying, if the current time is equal to 10 seconds, I have written it in a way that it looks nicer, but you can do it in any way you want. Because the current is double, I have to multiply it by 10, round it, and then I divide it by 10 times interval. That's basically the same as saying if you have reached to, let's say, 10 second or 20 second or 30 second or 40 second. I'm going to basically set the visible of notify icon 1, which is basically an object that I added here. I basically can check for toolbox. Where's my toolbox? I think I closed my toolbox accidentally, and I can say notify icon. I can just drag this and drop it in the form if I want. I don't want to do that, so let's not do it. How can I skip? Okay, so I have my notify icon here. That's going to help me to create a notification. I'll show you how. And I said notify icon 1.visible equal to true, so that means make it visible. And its balloon tip text should be equal to whatever the current time is, seconds past. So it's going to show either 10 seconds past or 20 seconds past. And I'm going to show this balloon type for 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. Let's make it a little bit less, let's say 500. So it's going to show it for half a second now, which is 500 milliseconds. And that's pretty much it. So far, let's run it and see how our code looks like. Let me run it, and I showed you the button, the new 10-second timer event handler. So this is going to open form 2. As you see, form 2 is open, and it shows you basically the time elapsed. And as you see, every 10th of a second, it's going to increase it. The text is in a nice fashion, and boom, look at this. I'm not sure if it's visible in the video or not, but I see a timer which says 10 seconds passed. When it's just 20 seconds, I get another timer notification saying 20 seconds passed. And if I wait till 30, I will see another one, right? And as I said, this form is not modal, so I can just go back to the main form and create multiple other timers. So I will see a flow of notifications very soon. As you see, they keep popping because I have multiple timers running, and they will basically send I should say notifications to me. And then let's cancel everything. It says, are you showing my exit? I say yes. I'll show you how to do this. When I close before I close my form, it's going to make sure that I want to really exit this application, and I say yes. I'll show you how to do that one later. But anyways, so I showed you the functionality of the first one, which basically also illustrate how the timer works and how to basically notify the user using notify icon. Let me show you one last thing about notify icon. As you saw when I was displaying the notify the icon, I'm sorry, the notification, the icon was an error icon, or I should say the balloon tip icon was an error icon. You can change the icon this way. You can set it to warning. You can set it to info. Info is the least serious one. Error is the most serious one. Let's run it again. Well, you can guess what's going to happen. It's going to show you a different icon now. after I reach to the 10-second mark. And as I said, we have basically modeless form. Therefore, I can just switch back and forth between them. Now you see in the notification balloon tip, I have a different icon, which is for information. This is the second one, and so on and so forth. All right, so let's talk about the second one, which is new custom timer. This button is going to illustrate how to create a custom dialog in WinForm application. Let's look at the event handler of its click event, button 3 click. As you see, I have created another dialog, another form, I should say, form 3. The form 3 is visible here in the Solution Explorer. Let's click on it. Looks like this. It is made of 2 buttons, an OK and a cancel button, 2 labels. One is timer is interval, one is second, and a numeric up down. Numeric up down, again, you're going to search in the toolbox for numeric up down and then pick one and drag and drop it here. And I have set its value to 4. It has a min value of 4 and max value of 100. By default, the min value is 0, but I just set it to 4 because I don't want the timer interval to be 0. 0 doesn't make sense. It should be at least, let's say, a positive number. I picked it as 4. So every 4 seconds, I can, let's say, create a notification for every timer, or I can just change this to any value I want. Now, in order to make this form a dialog and let the user interact with it like a dialog and enters an interval for the timer, you need to do this. You need to say, this OK button should be my form's OK button. So go to the form, click on this form. Other than setting the text, which says pick timer as interval, I'm going to set multiple properties. One is the cancel button. That should be button 2. Button 2 is the cancel button. And also the second thing I wanted to change is the accept button, which is here. And I set it to form to button 1. Button 1 is basically this OK button. And this makes sure that the OK button serves an OK button and cancel button serves as a cancel button for the dialog. One more thing is in order to make this fully functional and make it a fully functional dialog, you need to do this. In the OK button, there should be a dialog result property. You need to set that equal to OK. And for the cancel button, the dialog result should be set to cancel. There are none initially, but you need to change them to OK or cancel respectively. You can pick other values as well. You can pick yes, no, ignore, retry, abort, but I don't want it to do that. Normally, OK and cancel are the most common ones. Anyways, so after you made your form and set all those important properties like dialog results for the buttons and accept button, cancel button for the form, what you need to do is go to your form tree and add maybe another internal integer. We call it interval. And basically, whenever you click on the OK button, button 1 was the OK button, you're gonna update the interval to be equal to the numeric up down that value. Numeric up down is the integer selector that you can see here. It allows the user to enter a number from 4 to 100. And basically, whenever the user presses OK, the interval will be set to the numeric up down value. The reason I'm casting this to an integer is because the value is in decimal, so decimal should be cast to an integer. There's a little bit difference between decimal type and integer type in C#. Anyways, in order to display this form tree, when I click on form 1's new custom timer button, I have to go to the button tree click, and I have to create an object of form 3, and I have to say, all right, let's use the show dialog to show the dialog. If the result is equal to OK, it means that if the user has pressed OK after entering the value for the interval of the timer, I'm going to display form 2, which was the form for my timer, And first, I'm going to create a new one with the dialog dot interval, which is the value selected by the user. And then after that, I'm going to call f2.show, which shows the form in a modeless fashion. And I pass this to it. This basically is the form one, the main form to it, so that I can say the main form owns the second form. The main form should be the owner of the second form. I'll tell you why I create an owner relationship between the main form and the second form, form two, because later I'm gonna have the chance of controlling all the timers and let's say close them all together. So you may say, where did you define the constructor for form two that gets an input parameter? Here is my constructor. I have a default constructor, which is created by default. I set the interval equal to 10 by default, but if the user wants to basically pick a different interval, I allow them to pick it using the form tree dialog. And in the form two constructor, I will basically use that value to initialize the interval of the form. And then that interval is going to be used whenever I'm going to call it, create a notification. Remember, I said if the notification, if the timer value is divisible by the interval, make the notification happen or create a notification. Anyways, if I want to finalize everything in this application and show you all the details of this application, I only need to show you two more buttons. One is this, stop all timers, which if you look at its click event handler, you will see that it goes through all the owned forms by this main form, and it says, let's close them all. And finally, this choose background color is another button that I added here. What I did here is, this is an example of how to create a standard or how to show a standard dialog. I have said dialog result one dot show dialog, color dialog one dot show dialog. It's going to show a dialog to for the user to select the color. If that returns a dialog result at OK, which means if the user has confirmed the color that is selected, we're going to set the back color to color dialog one dot color. So with that, let's test everything. Oh, sorry for this. It says Windows security. Let's dismiss it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first create a new custom timer and set the timer interval to, let's say, 21 seconds. And it starts a timer. Then I'm going to create another timer, which is 10-second timer. Then I'm going to create, then I'm going to wait. Let's wait for this. This should, the 10-second timer should pop up first. And as you see, it pops up and it shows me the timer has passed the 10-second mark. Then I have to wait for this timer, which is 21 seconds. As you see, it says timer 21 second passed. And I say, great. Then I wait for the other one, it says 20 second passed. Then I wait for the other one, which says 30 second passed. Then wait for the other one, which says 33 second passed. Actually, no, and the next one should be 42. Actually, first one is 40, as you see 40, and then 42. As you see, the order of notification sometimes gets messed up because there's a weird looking queue exists. Some notifications appear before the others. Anyways, let's stop all the timers by clicking on this. And as you see, they both got to disappear all at once. Let me delete all those notifications. These are all remaining in the queue, so I have to close them. And then finally, I'm going to show you how to do the changed background color. Let's say you want to change the background color. I don't want any of these colors. I'm going to define my own color. I'm going to pick a weird looking green color, and I'm going to press OK. But all right, let's go define. Press a green color and say add custom. Now, I have to first move this up. Okay, let's pick this color and then say add to custom and then press OK. All right, so this is my background color. That's how I use that, standard dialog to select the back color. And finally, when I close this, it says, are you sure? I say yes, then it closes. If I say no, it's not going to close. One more time, are you sure? Yes, it's going to close. How does that happen? In the form 1, if you select form 1 event form closing, you will see that I have created an event handler for it. And I said, open a message box when you want to close the form, and says, are you sure? And if the user says no, then set the cancel of the form closing event args E equal to true. That's going to abort the closing operation, and it's not going to close your program. This is the very last chance for the user to avoid closing the form. That's very useful whenever you're writing a game, for example, and you want to give a second chance to the user if they mistakenly hit the close button. So with that, we're going to conclude this video. Thank you for watching.